This would be Tuesday, January 5th, and we're going to get into information about Fables. Let's see, grades are posted. You can now find your stuff there. Welcome back. For those of you who are dead, I have notebooks for you. You'll get them tomorrow. Cross out in the new notebooks, cross out all that information. We're good to go there. New entry on the homework side, which, by the way, make sure on the left-hand side of your notebook, because hopefully it's not happening here yet, but I have had in other classes kids do all of this on the wrong side, which would make you sad. If you know you're moving to a new notebook tomorrow, bring scissors and tape, and then you can just cut this page out and then tape it into your new notebook. Or we're only going to get through like 20 words of our notes, so you could always just rewrite it, but that's completely up to you. Fables. You are, well, one, we're done with short stories. Technically, I mean, you're still going to have to know the information because it's still going to show up as far as exposition and irony and foreshadowing and external conflict. All of that will still be there. We're just not going to be reading short stories. We're going to go to Fables starting this next week or so, but Fables are really short. They're only like a paragraph or two. The really, really epically long ones are 5 paragraphs, and those are rare. And then we'll get to speeches next week, and you guys will have your first speech about a week from today. You guys will be giving your first speech in this class. And I know many kids, people in general, hate speeches. I try to ease you in on speeches, so my speech unit is typically not awful. I'm not going to try and say that you're going to like my speech unit, but you should at least not hate it, which for a speech unit is like a win, so I'll take it. And then we'll go from there to Greek mythology as we continue forth from there. With Fables, you've seen Fables before, whether you realize it or not. Fables, the tortoise and the hare that go for a little race through the woods. The boy who cried wolf would be an example of a fable. The mouse and the lion gets a little thing stuck in his paw, would be an example of a fable. These are all, if you're just going, Mr. Brovicast, I know none of those, then you're in luck. I'm going to be doing this thing called teaching, so you're going to learn about them here shortly. I'm just trying to help some of you guys out who may have heard of them previously. Travel with me thousands of years back. We didn't have school. We just had stupid children. No school sounds like fun, and you realize school is what prevents you from being an idiot. And without school, we just had kids just running around being idiots all the time. They would just go over to cliffs and go, watch me, and then just jump off, hit the ground. Or they used to play this fun game called Look at My Rock, where you pick up a heavy rock and go over to your friend and just go whack, and you hit him in the head. The problem is your friends can only play once. And then after that, they could never play again. And so the problem with that is that the old people in town would see the kids running around being idiots, and they're like, hey, why did you just hit your friend in the head with that rock? And they're like, oh, because it's a fun game. They're like, you should stop doing that. And they're like, oh, you're old. You don't know what you're talking about. So they're like, oh, if only we had schools. And someone's like, we don't have them yet. I'm like, no. So what they decided to do instead was tell the kids stories. But the problem is the old people are like, listen, me tell you a story. And the kid's like, boring. And they wouldn't listen to them. So instead, they made their stories using animals. And they're like, well, it's not a story about me. It's a story about a squirrel and a rhinoceros. And the kid's like, ooh. And they got all excited. He's like, one day there was a squirrel, and he picked up a heavy rock and went to go meet his friends. And the kid's like, ah. They put down their rock, like, I want to hear this. And all of a sudden, this was how education started, back through Fables. So, I'm going to introduce the world of Fables to you. There are 3 types of Fables that we're going to get into.
Do we need to write this stuff?
Yes, the stuff you're going to be writing down.
Like, how do we write it? Like, do we write, like, the types of Fables on this side?
What you're going to do is take this information, it's going to go from there, through your eyeballs, out the body, through your fingertips, onto the paper. How you set it up is up to you, as long as that information shows up there in some way.
Okay.
I did mine in a T-chart, but yours does not have to be a T-chart. You can do headings, then go below it if you want to. You can do it in the middle and just write in a circle. It doesn't matter. Okay. Not just you, I'm sassing everyone, because you're not the one with that question. See, look, there's Nellie.
Is that line like the red line?
No. Unless you want it to be.
Okay. Can it be? Is it
Yes. Yeah. I don't think I think that's as big of a thing I have on the left spot as going to be. I don't think I'm going to have like that, like 1 word, and then 2. Yeah, you should be fine. Okay. Unless you write humongousy, which is a word. The 3 types of fables. The first type of fable is called traditional. The traditional fable's been around the longest period of time. It's the one that was like the very first, when they first invented fables. They're like, I just invented something. Like, oh, that's traditional. And so with the traditional fables, the ones that have animals in the woods running around doing things. For those of you who don't think you've ever heard a fable before, here's a quick version of a fable. One day, there was a tortoise walking through the woods, and a rabbit came running up to him, and the tortoise was like, hey, you and I should have a race. And the hare was like, no, I'm going to beat you. And the tortoise was like, you never know until you try. So they decide to have a race right there in the woods. And they call over their friend Owl. And they're like, Owl, come over here and help us out. And Owl's like, who? And they're like, you. He's like, oh. Owl joke. And so the owl comes over and he's like, what's going on? Like, we're going to have a race from here to the giant oak on the other side of the forest. And the owl's like, all right, sounds good. And he takes his little wing, he's like, draws a thing in the dust. I'm like, that's an impressive wing. He's like, thanks. And so they're like, go. And the rabbit takes off. Dust goes flying everywhere into the air. And the turtle takes off sprinting. Dust goes nowhere because it's a turtle. But the rabbit gets like halfway across the forest, and he's just sprinting. Little ears are just flapping in the wind, and the turtle's just sprinting like a turtle, doing his thing. And the rabbit gets halfway there, and he's like, phew, all this running is tiring me out. He's like, I'm not used to it, like PE class. So he decides to just go ahead and lay down right there and take a nap. He's like, you know what? Turtle's going to take forever. I can take a little nap. I'll be fine. So he lays down and sleeps right in the middle of the road. And the turtle just keeps on turtling. Turtle. And because he's a turtle and going slowly, the rabbit never hears him coming. And the turtle goes right past him. Rabbit. And so he keeps going and eventually gets almost to the finish line when the rabbit wakes up. That's how rabbits wake up. The rabbit wakes up. He's like, and his ears are like, he's like, where's that turtle? And the turtle's like, oh, rabbit. That's how rabbits cuss. And then he looks and sees the fact that the turtle's almost at the finish line, takes off sprinting as fast as he can, dives for the finish line, and the turtle goes, and sticks out his head and beats the rabbit, and the turtle wins. They're like, I can't believe you won. He's like, well, you should learn a lesson. And the lesson you should learn is? Slow and steady wins the race. And there's the moral of the story. That's a fable. And so the whole idea being that you shouldn't try to rush through things, or you should not fall asleep in the middle of the road, or taunt turtles. Sometimes they'll have multiple fables or morals to sort of help you out. Then, as time went by, they came up with a new type of fable called a verse fable. A verse fable, not a versus fable, like from external conflict where you're going to have to fight, but a verse fable. Do you guys know what a verse is?
One line.
Levi?
Is it like this phrase that gives wisdom?
Ooh, no, but a good try. Michael?
It's like something in music.
It is.
Like
What's a song?
paragraph in music.
So you take the words of a song, but take the music out. What do you have left?
Word. Lyrics.
Words.
And a lyric is?
A verse.
Like music paragraph. It's a music paragraph.
Oh.
Yes, a bunch of rhymey words written in a stanza. If only we had a name. Oh, wait, we call it a poem. And so verse fable is when you write it out as a poem. This one's going to be frightening, but I'll see what I can do with a verse fable. One day there was a turtle and a hare. And the turtle said, let's go for a race because I just don't care. Well, you and I will go for a run because beating you will be fun. And so they got down to the starting line, and he said, beating you is going to be a crime. And then they took off for a... No. Halfway through the race...
When did they take off?
A long time ago. The rabbit turned around and said, in your face. That's all I got. Something, rabbit wins. Turtle wins. Someone wins. There's winning involved. Yes, dear?
You know, one day my brother comes home and he goes, Mr. Brovicast taught me that a song is a poem. And
Was this like a couple years ago?
yeah,
Probably around
it was
this time of year.
forever ago When I was little, and he tells me that, and I'm like,
Now you can go home and teach him the same.
no, I teach mine.
That covers so much of my class. Modern! And then finally, they came up with what's called a modern fable, which is like the other ones, but different. Do you guys know what the word modern means? We struggled on the last one. Abigail?
Present?
Yes, underneath the Christmas tree, you're going to have a whole bunch of moderns. You're going to go and... Oh,
No, like the time present, like the time.
I'm going to introduce you to a very high-tech term. It's called today. And so a modern fable uses what's called today-y stuff. It is definitely a word as of now. And so in a modern fable, instead of them being in the woods, they now go to like Forest Junior High, and the rabbit's on the track team. And when they're running around on the track after school, like and they're throwing down, the rabbit, instead of taking a nap, gets distracted by like all the squirrel cheerleaders because like they're like flipping their tails. He's like, "What up?
But don't.
How you doing?" He doesn't have fingers. He's like, "How you doing?" And at the end of it, when the turtle wins, he like uses a selfie stick and like takes a picture of himself and the rabbit like diving across. He's like posts the picture like #rabbit loses. And so that'd be an example of a modern fable. Same ideas. It just takes place in more today-y times.
Yeah.
You should definitely use that when you get home today. Then, in order for a fable to qualify, in order for us to educate children, it has to have the education-y piece there. And now you'll never be educated. Till tomorrow, when more of the educating happens.
Here's this.
What I've always wanted, it goes over there.
We have to finish this.
You have to finish this tomorrow with me.